So guys, welcome to episode a lot.
8, 9, 10,
9, 10,
11, 12.
I don't know. But we've got the usual suspects, Dennis, Brett, and Lewis, our loan officers. But special guest today is Lewis. Introduce our amazing Renee Zabel.
Renee Zabel is the people's person for AmeriFirst. Like, she is the queen of AmeriFirst. So
I'll take that. I'm gonna put that on my business card.
You need something like taken care of, like you need someone pushed one way or another, or you just need something like incredible to happen, you call Renee. Right. She is the right hand of Eric Bovey. Like, she is the woman. Like, you know, behind a great man, there's always a
great woman.
And that's Renee.
That's Renee.
Oh, did I get a heart down? Oh,
you got a heart. Love, baby.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I always say, because y'all always hear me say, hey, if you could wave a magic wand, right? Renee has the wand. So if we need anything, we reach to Renee and we say, hey, Renee, about that magic wand. If I could wave a magic wand, and somehow she has access to the magic wand and magic happens. So we visited, I think last week on the way back, and she was so helpful. She was so excited and sharing with us the things that were coming up with AmeriFirst. And she was so kind to be willing to come in here and share with all of us, all of this. So Renee, I made a list. Y'all remember what I put on the list of what we're going to cover today?
I have the list of what you sent me.
Perfect.
Okay.
You take the lead because you are the leader.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to pop right in because some of the different things that Bettina and I talked about me covering is really intensive in terms of what we've been changing with the Reload program, which we're very excited about. A lot of these new changes are going to help both the LO as well as the agents to really cultivate these relationships and provide value for both parties. And we're really excited about some of the changes. I know you wanted me to touch on the 1, 3, and 5 year vision for Reload. Total world domination, of course, and you guys are all the world leaders. But I think that really over the next year, it's getting the message out. Obviously, from a marketing perspective, probably in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be sharing some exciting social media marketing pieces that you're going to be able to start to really, really showcase your own branding with Relo. And as I know, all of you have your own branding. You've known people for years. You've cultivated these relationships. So now you'll really be able to go viral with it. And so the explosive expansion that you're going to be able to achieve with this just over the course of the next year is going to be monumental.
So what you're saying, we're going to be able to market ourselves and AmeriFirst together and leverage all of that because we haven't been able to do that before because of compliance, but moving forward we will. And compliantly. Nice.
Correct.
Yay.
Yes, that's really exciting because I know everyone's been looking for that. And Eric and I are going to be finishing that up in the next 2 weeks. We are then going to be sending out a mass communication just to let you folks know what are the parameters, how to do that, and then provide you some basic marketing materials that you can go ahead and you can customize to, Brett, your own group, Lewis, Rockstar group, Bettina, Dennis, etc. So you guys have your own grouping, and then you can brand it for your own teams, which is going to be exciting. And from a 5-year plan, we see this as being a way to not only continue to get with these huge real estate marketing aspects like the EXP and realty executives, but we're going to provide value in such a way they can almost not do business without us because we care about their borrowers. So that plan from a 5-year perspective is going to be cultivated. What Eric and I see as a committee of you folks, the Dennises, the Lewises, the Bettinas, and to what that might look like from a growth perspective. Is it regionalized? Would you own your own section of it? Whatever that looks like. So we really want to take a more global expansive reach, but that's going to be something where at your levels, we want to make sure that we're getting that feedback to see what that could look like for the long term to be kind of your own little entity and how we could work that with your grouping. So we're excited about that for the future.
Very nice.
That's exciting.
That's new and fun. That's going to be fun.
You're getting behind the curtain from Intel.
I love this. And we're live streaming to our group. So this is like amazing. And then I know that part of the reasons that Eric and you guys were so brilliant to be able to have the foresight a few years back to create this program for solutions for agents and for lenders. So what are some of the solutions that this brings? And I think the thing that most people are really, really, really excited about is the network and the social marketing aspect of this. And it's that peer-to-peer compensation for referring, right? Because we know that this has worked so incredibly well in other industries. In the past, it was lipsticks and makeup, but we're seeing now in every industry, and I've talked about this a lot. Robert Kiyosaki, Tom Ferry, a lot of the big economic outlook people have been saying it for years, that this was the marketing of the future. And you guys were able to create this and implement this in AmeriFirst. So what made y'all decide that you would be the first to launch this program in the mortgage industry?
Well, I'm very honored because my boss, and you guys know Eric intimately as well, he's definitely what we call a disruptor. He is a loan officer at heart, and he knows the value of the relationship between the loan officer and the agent. And he's always trying to cultivate a new idea as to how we bring value to the real estate agent. It's not just about, us being able to have these relationships so we can get a loan from you here or there. It's about the trust that you put in us with the borrower. It's about the trust that in the long-term relationship. It's not a transactional deal. It's a relationship deal. So Eric came up with this idea basically to say, how can we continue to not only make the agents feel that you're not a one-off, you're not just a transactional and great, thanks for that loan, thanks for that referral, but something that would allow them to feel a little more vested in the long-term relationship that they would be holding with AmeriFirst loan officers. And so that's really where he came up with it, because as you guys see, and all the way to even presently, as the market, and the industry changes, contingent upon whatever's going on in the world, really, yeah, absolutely, the ebbs and flows, Bettina. I mean, it really was a way to say, how do we continue to provide value beyond one transaction? How do we continue to make sure that the real estate agents, I don't want to say have some skin in the game, but have a little bit more understanding of our long-term commitment to them? So that's really where Eric came up with it, to say, how can we legitimately, legally find a way to compensate a real estate agent for the business that they do with us, legitimately and legally, but also how do we keep this past the one transaction? How do they know that we have as much skin in the game in the relationship long-term as they do? And so therein lies the birth of Relo.
The Relo. And I think, and what I have found is, especially these three loan officers here, they were attracted because of the Relo program, that opportunity to build a revenue income stream. That's the reason I was attracted to it, right? I'm sorry?
Exactly.
Opportunity to retire. Get off the hamster wheel.
Well, I mean, we go from here to zero. I mean, like today, I'm closing a bunch of loans today, but then tomorrow what? You know what I'm saying? So with Relo, there's an opportunity that I'm empowering the agents to create a residual income as well, that someday I can look back and say, hey, I empowered those guys. Look at them now. Look at that income they're making. They're making 4, 5, 10, whatever it is residually. But on top of that, for years, I've always wanted to be able to compensate the agents to help them with more marketing. But compliance always like, no, you're 50% of the ad, you pay 50%. You're 1/3 of the ad, you pay 1/3 of the ad. So it was always like, you always hit that wall. You had to get into an MSA, or you had to do a marketing agreement, or you had to do, now all that's solved. I can legally compensate a realtor for sending me a deal, conventional, and I can help them put that money to work wherever. They can keep the money, they can put it into marketing, but we can help them help them get another deal. So now we're empowering them, and that's incredible. I mean, there's nothing else better than that to be able.
And I love that you continue to compensate me for sending you referrals, for referring other realtors to you, right? And we have that power of the strong relationships, because after we've been in this industry for so long, it's all about relationships. Back to what you were saying, Renee, is that power of relationships. And now we're able to leverage that relationship, and you get to compensate me for referring other realtors to you and loan officers. Because if it weren't for this program, you would have met Dennis. You would not have met Brett, because we met both of those. You met both of them through other realtors. Right. And all these realtors and loan officers are excited to introduce other agents to you because of the compensation residual impact of it. So And I think that really helps AmeriFirst reach that goal of world denominate. No, not denomination.
Right.
World domination.
Hey,
World domination. I'm like, this is not a religion yet. This is not a religion yet.
Yeah,
Domination.
hey,
Yeah.
Bettina, think of this. The other thing that's going on is now that this has come out, you've got Quicken and Rocket group starting to emulate this to some degree. They don't have all of the bells and whistles, but I looked at this when a couple of my bigger agents came to me and asked me to look at this. And I said, you know what? If I don't do this, my agents are going to leave. And because ultimately, who wouldn't want to get compensated? Because they've asked us for years, like you said, and we've always had the pressure to compete with the people that were doing it illegally. And hey, can you do this? Can you send us this? Can you take us here? Can we? And like, there's RESPA, and we cannot. And I'm sorry that if you're going to use somebody else because they're willing to break the law for you, that's something I can't control. It's like selling on rate alone. You can't just do that. There's got to be more of a relationship than that transaction. So now we can compete. And from my perspective, and I think you and Dennis will agree, Louis, that from not only being able to compete, we can triumph over the competitors because we do have the residual piece. And that's something that Rocket gives us credibility on, but the fact that they're rolling it out on the compensation model, but also the downline and all that, that's just a little sprinkling of the sweetness.
That's a sweetness that makes us triumph. I love that word. I love that you use the word triumph because I do feel triumphant in this model.
Well, and it really, to speak to Brett's point, you brought up a good point, Brett, because there have been the very companies that were claiming or showing concerns, obviously, because they knew that would be a recruiting nightmare for them, for us to be successful in this program, God bless them. But to Brett's point, we overlawyered the heck out of this. It took us 2 years to make sure that from a compliant aspect, we were doing what we needed to do. And your relationships, again, with your agent, we care just as much about them and keeping them solid. I mean, they're going to go through the trouble of getting their MLO license. The last thing we would do is sacrifice, obviously, the license of anybody in our organization, our corporate license, or that of your trusted agent partners. So making sure that they know that if we're willing to be invested in this process to help them do this, that they know that we wouldn't do it if it wasn't 100% legitimate and compliant in such a way that we care about the solidarity of them and their business as well. We're not going to sacrifice them being able to losing their license or having any issues being non-compliant. We would never allow that.
So that brings us to, over the last, 6 months, 12, 24 months, there were some challenges on the way as y'all were building this out. As any program that you build out that's going to be different than anything else, there's going to be opportunities to find additional solutions that had never had to be discovered before because those opportunities never came. So when you have these opportunities come up, you're going to have all these great opportunities come up and be creative with your solutions. So what are some challenges that you had to come up with solutions with, and how did you come about that, and how did that work out, and what did you learn from that so that we can continue to grow in the future?
Absolutely. I've got lots of cuts and scrapes, so I'm still, my Neosporin and my Band-Aids, they're off now. I think some of the major challenges is with anything new. And when we saw these challenges, we didn't look at them as challenges. We saw we need to know where the holes are in order to make everything perfect and better. And so one of the challenges I think that we found was the communication in terms and the transparency by no fault of anyone's in terms of what is going on during the licensing process. That was a huge piece of the communication because you can't go to lunch, happy hour, go to someone's kitchen table, get them excited about something, and then once they're starting the process, then there's that kind of fall off of communication because there is a bit of time by which someone's signing up for their courses and someone is trying to attain their license, where the timing in every state's different, right? But one of the things that we've learned that is now changed is the communication communication with you fine folks and the people who you're recruiting throughout that. Being very transparent in the timing. Hey, Texas may take this amount of time. It's starting today. The clock's ticking. Right. And then obviously that can change. Year end is always tough with all the recertifications for LOs and that kind of thing. But that transparency, to have all parties have full optics during the entire process. So very proud about some of the new stuff in terms of you being able to keep in communication with your real estate partners to basically say, hey, I see you scheduled your courses. Great job. So that way, if they've got questions, you're more in the know to help them throughout that process and to make sure that you're fully disclosed in terms of timelines, when the processes are going to take place, when the hire is going to take place. So that transparency from beginning to end is the optics are much more clear and much more communicated.
And they're just going to get better because you're just getting started on that aspect. I mean, because you shared that with us last week. And I think everybody here saw the updates that you've made on that to make it simpler for us. Because I do remember 8 months ago when I was going through this initially, I was like, I'm a realtor. That's 100 million steps for me.
Yes.
Right. I just can't. I don't if I call another 800 number and talk to somebody else, I'm just going to cry. So now we're skipping the crying part and just adding the little links, making it simpler, making more flow. Dennis is laughing at me, but it's okay.
Nothing with you.
So it's okay. But I love that we recognize that AmeriFirst recognizes that these are all opportunities for improvement, right? And
Absolutely.
they're taking in our feedbacks, right? So
and another thing, Bettina, that you also just made a great point. We recognize this is not an agent's full-time job. And so we are going to prohibit their ability or desire to do it when we get them all excited to say, here's the 55 steps for you to go through. So in terms of, right, they're like, that's great. You want to have 5 or an easy button. So what we've done too, in terms of even explaining the flow, making things a little bit more self-service, having more immediate access to services to support and help them through the process, we're trying to tailor it down as best as we can. Obviously, the MLO license requirement is that, but making sure that we know that that's not their full-time job. So the easier we make it for them, the more likely they are going to be to join into the program because we want them to be partners. We're not looking for them to be full-time loan officers.
Right. And that also brings us to the emails. One of the feedbacks that we had was I don't want to have to check another email. I might have 7 email addresses, but I only check 1 email address.
That's all.
Right. And that has been solved, guys. That has been solved. And that is ginormous for us realtors. And I mean,
I never knew how many email addresses you guys had. I swear.
We all want to be compliant, but there's a lot of silly little things like that. And, if you think about it in the big picture and what we're creating, it's not a huge deal. But you add up all these little things, and it makes a big difference in the experience. So one of the opportunities that we have is to join this structure now, right? It's less than 100. And we're going to go with more and more and more, is that we get the benefit of being the first.
Yeah.
We also get the privilege of helping build out the rocket ship. So building on the first, that means we all get a screwdriver, we all get a hammer, everybody gets a different tool, and we help in building this out for the success, for our organizations, for our revenue share, for our future, for everybody's businesses down the road.
Yeah, and Bettina, I mean, that was, I think, and I never knew. I thought you said screwdriver. I was going to go grab vodka. We'll save that.
That's why we're all friends here.
Oh yeah. But I think to your point as well, I had no idea how many email addresses that anybody had until this program. I was like, oh gosh. And again, that ease in service. It's not for us to say, well, while there may be a requirement to have an apply now, we're now asking, hey, what's the one you check the most? To where now we're basically saying, no, you're not going to go into your reload funding email every 5 seconds, but now we have a way to trigger your preferred email to say, hey, check your email. You've got something critical waiting for you in that, so that you're not in there going through spam and looking at, information you don't need to look at. So we don't want to waste anyone's time for sure.
I absolutely love that. And I appreciate that so much. And it's a lot of these things that are going to continue to add up, because Lewis was one of the first reload loan officers, not AmeriFirst, because AmeriFirst loan officers, there's 100 of them. But one of the first ones that has come in with Rob and Scott and partnered with them, right? And there were some in like North Texas, and there were some initial challenges that he had to go through. And I want to give huge props to Lewis and the AmeriFirst team for going through that.
We survived. We're survivors.
No, you
And Lewis,
thrived
do you
through
still
it.
love me? I hope you still love me, brother.
Oh, we're having an incredible month. I think we're closing we're closing 6 loans today and funding today. I mean, David McMillan came. I mean, we have teamed up. Me and Dave have kind of joined forces to make things happen. My whole team has smoothed out. Tanya's getting things. I mean, it's just we're like a well-oiled machine now. So
Again, yes.
That collaboration has been phenomenal.
But it took time to get there. It really did. We struggled, but we have it.
Yeah.
We put it back together. So we're good. We're excited about what's going to happen the rest of the year and next year. It's just going to get quicker.
Super excited. Super excited.
Super excited. And what's really great is like, because of that, you paved the road for Brett and Dennis to have a significantly smooth onboarding. And I think the lenders now moving forward are having these amazing onboarding programs. So that brings us, I was going to ask you, Renee, could you, or Brett and Lewis, y'all have this program that I hear about for these loan officers, or I guess anybody who can come visit y'all, right? When you invite a top loan officer, a producing loan officer, right? And they say, hey, I want to go check out this program. Is this thing really for real? And everybody that I hear that goes up there is like, oh, this is magical. Like, cause y'all open that curtain and you let everybody see the depths of the workings of, right, Brett? You were telling me?
Yeah, incredible. I was not recruitable. I went out there. Renee picked me up and we went and had meetings with every C-level individual in the company. Like I said, I want to see why this is not going to work, because I didn't want to move, but I wanted to report back to my agents that, hey, this place is a joke. Here's why it's broken. Well, I get there and I meet Renee, I meet the processing, operations, underwriting, all the way to the CEO. They all spent an hour with me in the conference room, fed me breakfast and lunch, and I never moved. I basically sat there and just like speed dated with all these people. And I was just blown away. I just sat there shaking my head at the end of the day going, oh, damn it, I got to move. I was like, I don't want to move, but now I can't unknow what I know now. And I didn't know that there was things that could be improved upon from what I had before. And that was, that was what, a couple of 2 or 3 months ago. And now I'm here for this is my second month, and I'm just having a blast. Today's a little rough, but I am having a blast.
We all have a couple little rough days every now and then.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the company. I assure you, everybody there is a bona fide 10. It's just, it's so awesome that people are that good at their jobs, from closing to underwriting to processing. Everybody's just awesome.
I absolutely love it. So we've had through these challenges, right? We've had a number of successes, not just bringing on amazing loan officers like David and Brett and Dennis and Lewis, and amazing realtors, who are just very successful in their own right. And also new agents who are learning that this is just being able to see what's going on with their loans is just going to be their standard now moving forward, versus having to do the old way of like, what's going on? Not having a clue, right? But we've had a lot of successes, I'm going to say, in the last 8 months. And what would you say, Renee, are the top 3 relo successes that we've had?
I think a lot of the change in the program for the optics for you guys and the agents, but also what we're really finding as we're talking to more of the folks who are joining the program is when they're now starting to see the kind of company AmeriFirst is, they're actually bringing other things and other pieces of their own business to the table that perhaps it's not just purely a relo agent and an LO relationship. I've had a lot of relo agents who you guys have recruited or people have recruited nationwide that are then calling me, requesting an audience with Eric about other opportunities because they got so excited about the company. So they are putting us in a position to introduce us to other business partners or look at other programs. So when you can see, and that's why, the next 5 years can be amazing. When you see that they've become so, I think they bought into the belief of what we're doing, and they see that, Brett's point, we care. I mean, we're a company that cares. We're not perfect, but we care more than any company. And so to see, and this probably happens about 4 times a month, these new Relo agents coming to me saying, I've got this opportunity. I want to sit down and talk to Eric about. There's this new program. So for them, I think it's a success when you get other people thinking outside the box, right?
They feel like there's a partnership there.
Right. And it's not just, we're showing them, because again, you're only as good as your last accomplishment, is what I like to say, honestly. And so while you close a deal and you've got that relationship, for them to start to see the credibility, not only in us as an organization, all you beautiful folks as leadership, the program, because you guys are, kind of the top folks in Relo, but also to then at least live up to that reputation, to build credibility to where all these other opportunities are coming up that are going to benefit you and your real estate partners, in terms of, how we're treating the customer, relationship with the customer, whether it's different funds that, I've had people talk to me about, I have a fund partner in New York, let's talk about that. But everything to see that people are believing in the company and what we can do, I think is very nice, because it creates opportunity for everybody. And we want to continue to, not just with this, create new opportunities for your agents so that they can, get out there more and get their name more and do more business.
I love that. So any other success? So that is fantastic, because that'll definitely build the opportunity bigger than maybe we had initially had thought, right?
Yeah,
It's almost like Elon Musking it on his rocket ship, like he had this vision and then brings on and has greater opportunities. The moon on Mars.
We're just as crazy as Elon. You know what I think is because there's a lot of, I think, individual stories in terms of some of these, and I like what you call the triumph, some of these little triumphs where we've been able to, in a lot of cases, get the ungettable, not just, the Brett Carmans of the world, but some of these top players who at EXP or other organizations where they're thinking, that can't be real, smoke and mirrors. And then after word of mouth and people seeing, a lot of these, success stories are really predicated on those individuals who then, like you said, Bettina, get to look behind the curtain and they're like, this is a real deal. And so then, in some cases, we've had folks come on from various real estate organizations, and they download 1,900 plus people. So that's been, intense from a reporting standpoint, but that we've been able to, after months of cultivating the relationship and them hearing through the grapevine that this is something that is credible, is something they can believe in, that they trust us enough to give us 1,800 people to download into, their downline in their program. That's huge. That in of itself is a huge success, because your reputation is our reputation. Your agents need to know that we feel that way as well. We're going to stand by what we say, and we want to make sure that if they're making commitments, that they understand that those commitments are kept solid because of that partnership. So we're very proud of that.
That's fantastic. So over the next 6 months, where do you see, how can we best take advantage of this opportunity that is given to us as realtors and as loan officers? What could we do? What is the one thing that you think we should do?
I think the minute that the social marketing is released, because there is that platform for all of you folks, I think, and now that they're all, most of the COVID restrictions are, completely lifted, contingent upon where you live, lunch and learns. But you can do that through your social media once that's released, and what you can do. I think getting in front of people, because this is a great way right now for us to touch people. But there's no way that any of you that you couldn't meet you and not love you, right? I've gotten to know you all intimately, and I think you're all beautiful people, but it's so much more different, when you're just like Brett said, he thought he wanted to hate us, but then we're also amazing. But that vibe and that cultivation is really only done in person. So while you can expand on social media, I would recommend everyone to really get in front of people in terms of doing those lunch and learns, scheduling happy hours, scheduling top golf events, those kinds of things, to where you're setting up a meeting, talking about the presentation, because it's different when you see the excitement in Bettina's face when you see her, or Brett's, or Lewis, or Dennis. It's those types of things. I think getting in front of people, and the social media platform opening up will allow you to do that.
Yeah, I do agree. Belly to belly has always been the key. In fact, we just started doing happy hours probably 3 months ago. Is that right? Here in North Texas.
Yeah, we
And-
had one last night. We had one last month. The last 2 months were a little bit more successful than last month, than yesterday's, because I think we waited to the end of the month and a lot of people going out of town. But we still had a great turnout. There was about 25, 30 people that came out. We got to communicate. We got to hang out. We got to see people we hadn't seen in forever. Agents got to meet other agents that they have never met before, and were like, "I've heard of you," and it was just incredible to see that unity of them talking and everybody hanging out. We had great sponsors, and we had 4 different sponsors that sponsored the event: an insurance agent,
Warranty?
solar guy, title, myself, and we were able to spoil everybody for 3 or 4 hours, which was incredible. We had
Which was
we spoke till
incredible.
like 7. I think we left at 9, didn't we, Bettina? I started the second tab at 7.
Yeah, I think. Well, the key is, I think for those who are going to start doing lunch and learns and happy hours and stuff like that, Thursdays are definitely a better day than Tuesdays. So I know we said last night, and I know today's Wednesday, but really Thursday. Jackie didn't want to do his marketing. She actually organized it this month. So I was so grateful that somebody else was doing it. Yay. But for future, we're definitely going to stick to Thursdays. We typically do 4 till 7 in the afternoon, right? That we have found good success with that. We'll start at 4. People will come in at 5 till 5. 5 o'clock's a great time, but as well. And lunch and learns again on Thursdays. We've always done those on Thursdays. Something about Mondays, right? Monday, people are recovering from the weekend. Friday, people are getting ready for the weekend. Tuesdays, Wednesdays are still kind of work days. I feel like Thursdays is almost like that day that's a little softer, right? So Thursdays are typically really good days to have a bigger show. And middle of the month is better than end of the month for sure.
Oh yeah, and another thing, Bettina, when you're talking about how to really empower and help and support the success of both all of you from an LO standpoint as well as from the agent standpoint, is now with a lot of this new communication and a lot of the reporting and transparency that you guys are going to be able to have, getting folks past the intake form, right? Getting them licensed, supporting them through that process, and now with these new opened up optics, I think that there's no way this isn't going to be explosive, because you're going to know every step of the way what's going on. And so you're actually going to help hold their hand. Corporate's going to help hold their hand, because every step of the way, there won't be any black holes. And that people can deal with what they know, right? They can't deal with what they don't, because they come up with their own narrative. So when you're helping them and you really know everything that's going on with them, they know you care. And so now this new process in terms of communication will, I think, really help to yield you that.
So I want to add on to what you were talking about, being able to the optics and the education part. The key to that is when somebody comes on, an agent comes on, and they're in the process of getting their license, they must go through mortgage educators. First of all, it's the best, right? And they need to use that discount code. It's crazy of them not to, because they can pay $500 or $260. Just pay the $260, use the discount code. That allows us to track them. If they don't do that, we cannot track them.
That's correct.
The other thing is that when they get their NMLS ID number, they have to give AmeriFirst access to, I forget what it is. It's like step 1 or 2.
So basically, they have to allow us, because obviously for privacy purposes, the only way you could check and see if someone's license is by going into NMLS Consumer. But if once they're interested and their first step is to go into NMLS and grant AmeriFirst access as the intended employer sponsor, then that allows us to know what's going on. So if they fail to do that, unfortunately, we'll never be alerted to the steps of where they're at in the process.
Right, because what I have found is that in my back end, I was like, wait, I have a lot more people than this and that have done this. What they didn't do is, and this is what's so good is about the new licensing program or assistance PDF, I don't know what you call it, but that's coming out, right? It really does a fantastic job of guiding them through each individual step, right? Where before people were having to read, leave that site, and then come circle back. We know that closing the loop is a skill set that most people don't have, and only like 0.01% have. And we're all working on closing the loop, right? But in that process, there's a lot of loops to close. She just made it to where it's more automated, and that loop almost like springs back.
Yes.
So
and
that makes it a lot easier for everybody.
Another thing that you're going to see as well is as you're sitting and having these conversations, as you all know, there's the www.relofunding.com website. What's going to be, because I don't know about you guys, I forgot what I had for lunch last week, right? We want to, again, make it as easy for people as possible. Never forget the dirty martinis, though. But so in the next 3 weeks on the Relo funding homepage, there's going to be a library. So even if we tell them, I want to be able to continue to remind them, there's going to be little 2 to 3 minute snippet videos to where if they ever want to go back and, oh gosh, how do I do that in NMLS? They'll have a video there. There'll be an entire library of licensing guides by every state. There'll be an entire now master library of everything from roadmap, where we're licensed, how far away. You'll be able to now also, from a Sherpa standpoint, look up every loan officer in the company immediately to see where someone's licensed, so that if you're going to be looking and assigning a Sherpa, that's going to be at your fingertips immediately, and that will be updated weekly.
Fantastic. There's a lot, and we're just getting started. We are like legit. This is just getting started. Like, it's so cool. Like, talk about the very beginning. There's like less than 100 licensed Relo agents right now. Right? 8 months ago, I think we were like 20.
Right.
When we first, or 15.
15
or something.
Yeah.
So we've doubled a couple times. We've doubled several times in just the last few months. So if we look at how that compounds, right? You know that story where they say, would you rather somebody give you $1 million, or would you rather have somebody give you a penny that doubles every day? What are you going to choose? You choose a penny that doubles every day. So what we have the opportunity, we didn't get the $1 million. What we have is the penny that actually doubles every day.
I would like to be the, in the top 100 of EXP when they launched. That would have been a nice spot to be in. And that was part of my decision making when I came over here. I was like, you know what? I will really just.
Here's that opportunity.
I'll never forgive myself if I don't do this, and it turns into another EXP and then some, according to some of the experts. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. And I'm just so glad I did.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Well, if y'all haven't watched yet, Dennis put together an amazing interview with Rob Flick and Brian Culhane and Jay. No. And it was absolutely fantastic. It's a great listen. It's a lot of content so that you can master your craft, our craft of introducing and inviting folks, right? And
yeah, those two guys are amazing together.
So amazing. So he's been so kind to upload that to our Facebook group. So make sure you check that out. It's in there. You can search that.
Well, I can't encourage people enough, especially with knowing you four. You guys have it together. I mean, not only in terms of the culture that you build, the service you provide, but the integrity that you guys possess. And I mean, it's an honor to have you at AmeriFirst, but it's an honor to know you personally and professionally. But I think anyone listening really needs to come to you guys from a mentor perspective. You guys are also willing to share your stories and your knowledge and your wisdom, and that just creates power. In terms of that knowledge base. And I mean, it's an honor to work with you guys. And anybody should come to you guys if they have any questions. But you're the highest level of integrity, and anybody working with you is very lucky.
And we're blessed to be in partnership with you and Eric and everybody at AmeriFirst. I love these people, like I do. It's like every one of their successes, and I know Brett, Dennis, Lewis, and Renee, I hope you guys know that about me. Lewis has known me long enough to know that I'm a horrible fake and I'm not a great actress. So if I don't like you, you will probably know. You will probably know.
Well, I will say you and Lewis were instrumental, because now I feel like we're almost family. It's like, but you and Lewis were instrumental for some of my sleepless nights, but for a lot of the huge, wonderful program changes for improvement. And I love you both, and you were you dove in, you weren't shy about what you didn't like, and that it's got to work for you. And I love that, and that honesty and that communication has just. It's just been, I couldn't be more grateful. And so you're a big reason that everyone is getting to see this awesome new program in light of a lot of the requests. And the things that you were requesting to make this better. So I thank you for your honesty and what am I saying? Continue. I know you, Bettina, Lewis. Yeah, you guys will always be honest.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. I know we ran a little bit long today, and I hope that everybody who listens to this finds value. I love the communication that we have on a weekly basis, just coming together. I learn a lot. I think it inspires me. I hope it inspires you guys as well. And I think it just kind of loops us all back in and keeps us out on the same page for sure. Interest rates, let's touch that on just a second. Interest rates up, same down.
No, they're good. They got better today. They're pretty good. Rates are
all
looking
right. That's fantastic.
Hey, anytime we're under 4%, come on, guys. I mean, you get 3.25, 3.5. It doesn't matter. You're getting free money on a mortgage. I mean, think about it.
Like seriously. I have, and here's a question I ask all the time: applications. And this is something I don't think loan officers talk about enough and I don't think realtors know to ask this enough. So like a lot of times realtors will say, we'll look in the stats that come out that talk about closings. Like let's say it comes out middle of July covers a month and a half ago closings, right? That is, and in this market and in every market, that's too late, right? Those stats are way behind. So what I want to know is, I'll call the title company. I'll ask them, hey, the executed contracts that are coming in, how many are you having? Is it up, down, low? Are you finding them over, under, about the same? What percentage over are you seeing at the title company now, right? And then our loan partners, and you guys probably seen my text saying, hey, applications, are you getting more applications, less applications? Are they quality applications? What kind of applications are you getting in now? Because to me, that's my forecast for the next 30 days, right? And I appreciate that.
And with us, with our team, it's a little unrealistic because since we've been building Relo, we've had more and more partners bringing us more and more business. So our application count has been steadily growing, where I'm talking to partners and other buddies, and they're like, oh man, I'm way off. I'm like, I'm not getting the numbers I was getting. So this Relo thing has really kind of shifted us. We're an anomaly. So when you ask me, I'm like, Jamie's qualifying 3, 4, 5 a day. So it's like, but that's because it's coming from all different directions that before it's just our partners. So
and it's not refi. So a lot of these folks have been focusing on refis for the last year, 2 years, and we all know refi applications are down. So a lot of times I have to be really specific. They're like, how are your purchase applications, right? Versus your refi applications, and you keep those relationships, huh?
Most people have already got their refis done.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people saying that last week apps were down 6%. I didn't see that. I saw it go the other way. So it's just like Relo kind of changes things for a loan officer. It really does.
So for recruiting aspects, these are good numbers to know, because if over the course of the last 6 months you have a relationship with a loan partner that you've been using for 12 months, right? But then you're listening to your new relationships with Lewis and Brett and Dennis, and they're saying, well, actually our purchase apps are steadily coming up while the markets is steadily coming down. There's something to be said about this program, right? That other lenders need to learn about. Maybe they don't jump on board right away. Maybe they learn about it. Maybe they go visit Renee and the team out in Phoenix. And maybe they just keep it in their back pocket. I know, Brett, you and I have talked about this. You had some friends who are like killing it in Relo, and you're like, all right, well, when that comes down, because that's drying up, let's get you ready to come on board.
Yeah, just prepping them for some of the refi shops that are, call centers. I've got some friends that are making a killing out there. They're closing 40, 50 loans a month, making 75 grand a month. And I said, okay, don't you dare come over now, because you don't know how to hunt. You don't know how to do really purchase business. I can teach you how to hunt, but if you come over here and commission only and lose that money, your wife's going to come after me. Like, she's gonna kill me. So we're not having that. I said, you just wait till the rates get up and you get laid off, and you've got a spot over here. And I'm closing a loan for him next week on his personal investment side, but he's seen the program and he likes it. So he'll definitely be a candidate. But to your point, if you had, let's say you had 25 agents that have been sending you business for all these years, well, they're not able to write as many deals. They may have a pile of prospects, but the actual fundings are going to be off, which is where this kind of comes in and helps bring in some of that extra revenue, just like reduce commissions to buyer's agents. Or you guys are having some commission pressure on the agent side, where the builders are offering 1% or 2%, and now on MLS it's 2.5%, 2% because of the competition. So this is a nice way to make up the extra money for your agents. And if you don't do it, you're crazy, is all I got to say.
All you got to say.
One good thing, a couple of builders have already gone back to the 3%.
Plus bonus.
And one just came out with a $5,000 bonus. Remember, lumber prices just dropped this week. So some of these builders that have some of these houses under contract, it's going to actually cost them a little less to build them. But it looks like some of these people who put all these contracts on these houses that are getting pushed away from the builders because of the lottery. And, I mean, some of the stuff I've seen Lennar do, and some of the stuff, I mean, it's just crazy. Like, they won't even go under contract on a price until the foundation's poured on a house. So basically, you're on a waiting list. Well, all that's going to start going away because all these people are going to piss and they're not going to buy a house. They're going to walk away. And then they're going to go back to realtor and say, hey, can you find me a house? So these builders are starting to wake up right now. And I have a feeling in the next 3 months, we're going to have more inventory. It's going to come up. And by the end of the year, we're going to see a stabilization of pricing on homes. We're not going to see this continual rise that we're seeing right now. We're going to see a stability happen. And if rates stay the way they are, we're still going to be good. But right now, there's a lot of people that gave up. They didn't want to buy a home. And
Buyer fatigue is real.
Yeah.
Buyer agent fatigue is real.
Oh my God. Agents last night were telling me they had written 20 contracts to get one deal. You know, you're talking, that's 8 to 10 hours of work of just, I mean, maybe more.
And that doesn't even take into consideration how many homes they had to show to get to write those contracts. I mean, it's fatiguing. Right.
But your PYT program helps. Your cash program helps. All the programs that you guys have that nobody else offers makes a difference in winning. So guys, I seriously want to let you guys get back to work. I want to thank you guys. Renee, seriously, I appreciate you so much. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for continuing to wave your magic wand and be the unicorn and just allow us to ride your coattails. Thank you.
It's an honor, and anything for you at any point, 24/7.
I appreciate you. Not 24. She always says that. I'm like, no, not 24/7. She's like, I'm like, why are you answering my text message right now?
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all so much.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Hey, Brett,
Bye.
I need to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while.